I've been wanting to do this BID for a long time, and I know you have too. I've been waiting all week to record this, man, because first, I remember when you first told me this story on the phone, and to the point where it's become a greatest hits for us, like off the record, like where I'll call you up and say, bro, you got to tell me the Great Escape story because it's so layered, it's so funny, it's unexpected. There's a
Right.
twist, unexpected ending. And I have a personal connection to it because it starts at the place where we both went to high school together growing
Right.
up, right? You've done a 7-minute story version of this guest spot on 7-Minute Stories, my podcast, and those two parts were great. But why I wanted to do it here, I know you did too. There was a lot more to unpack that we couldn't fit into just those 7-minute segments. And so I'd love to take this opportunity, man, and do that. And let me do a quick tease and then give you the reins because what they're about to hear is something really, really funny. Okay. You're running, trying to escape a building. You're looking over your shoulder. You're nervous. You don't know if you're going to get caught. You don't know what's going to happen next. And all you know is you have to get out of here, but chances aren't looking good.
Right.
That sounds ridiculous, but the fact is that it was actually happening. But let's go back. Let's go back and give some context to how you got to that moment, because not only is that moment hilarious, what happens afterwards is even more hilarious. So let's go back to the beginning. You and I went to high school together. It's senior year, right? And things were going great. You couldn't be in a better mood.
I'm going to do the best I can to get through this without making myself laugh too hard, because revisiting this story, it's almost too much sometimes. And we're going to get rolling. And before I forget to,
Yeah.
in the comment section, you guys can check out, there's a link to check out the 7-minute story version of this as well on Aaron's podcast. So I wanted to just put that out there. But Aaron, if you, senior year, we're rocking and rolling.
Things couldn't be better. The whole future's ahead for you, right?
The whole, my
nothing can go wrong.
Bright.
Nothing can go wrong.
Nothing. It's impossible. Nothing can go wrong.
What were some of the things that you were worrying about? Tell me, like the top worry that you had at that time.
Right. I mean, top worries for me at this point in time, getting close to the latter end of senior year, was like, what am I going to get from the vending machine between first period and second period? Usually it was a Dr. Pepper and a fudge round. Had to keep the energy going. Even before getting to school, like I think I talked about this in 7-minute stories. What jeans, what skinny jeans am I going to wear with my new Doc Martens? Am I going to go V-neck? Am I going to go flannel? Am I going to go maybe a little bit prepped today, or am I going to go punk rock? Maybe it's going to be a combination of the two. I'm not worried about anything except things like that. And then playing in a rock band, right? Like we did an episode recently where we talked about our high school band. So I'm thinking about the band. I'm thinking about getting through high school. Like we were really at the finish line, man. And like I had a good time in school, and I think we could spend a lot of time maybe talking about this at another episode as well. But like, what was our experience like in high school?
Right.
I feel like I came full circle senior year, you know?
And nothing could stop you. I mean, there wasn't anything that stopped you or could stop you from this future. But there was a class.
There was. There was a class. Okay. So my distractions, like to these other things that didn't really matter, ended up causing me some problems here. And I don't remember what class it was. I think it was like it was one of like the English literature or something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
And Aaron, I don't know if you can remember this, but like our high school, previous to us graduating, I think maybe sophomore, junior, and senior year, they were doing construction, right? So like a lot of our
construction
classes,
job.
a lot of our classes were in trailer, right? It's like you'd be walking like out of the building, you go to a trailer. And I remember this class was specifically in one of the trailers. So I show up, I think it was like 6th or 7th period. And guy sitting next to me, it was actually Travis from our band. Funny enough.
There it is. The continuing characters throughout the stories. There he is.
Walked in.
Little did we know, I won't spoil it, there was something on the horizon for him and us. But he was, I forgot that. He's sitting next to you.
He's sitting next to me, and like I remember that I had like one of those blue Gatorades. Like I don't know what the flavor
Like
was, but it
Arctic
was one.
Ice or something like
It might
that,
have been
right?
Arctic Ice. I walked in with my Arctic Ice Gatorade, got my book bag. Again, it's like end of the day. I'm not thinking anything, man. Just I'm gonna wrap up. I might go to Taco Bell. I don't know. What am I gonna do? Travis, he looks over at me and he goes, "Hey, you feeling good for today?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. Why? What's up?" He's like, "Well, we have the final exam today. Are you ready?" I'm in fifth gear at this point of anxiety. Like I took that pause there for a second because literally I kind of feel I can still feel what that felt like. And
Okay.
I have dreams about this all the time. We need to talk about that at
Oh,
some point in this
we're
episode.
going into that. Yes, we're going into that. But it's transporting you back to the moment. You had no idea. Here's the bottom line. You're worrying about Doc Martens and fudge rounds. You had no
Yeah.
idea the the final was today
I don't know. Yeah.
or
I
that
look,
day.
I back then I don't think I was as organized or cared as much about stuff like that. Like now I'm very type A, checklist, to-do lists, following my calendar, all that stuff, hyper important. Senior year, not so much.
We were kids,
Uh
man. We were
we were
kids.
kids. So Aaron, once I realized that he wasn't lying, like, so I kind of started going into tunnel vision. If anybody can relate to that, you're like, you're trying to parse out like or compartmentalize like what's going on. And like I looked over and I saw our teacher, Mrs. L, we'll call her Mrs. L,
Nice,
as we
nice. Yep.
did in 7 Minute Stories. She's walking with a stack of papers. That's when it kind of hit me like, okay, she's getting ready to pass out the exam. The number two pencils, they had like that little box, like all the number two pencils
Yep.
all sharpened, ready to go. I'm like, I got to get the hell out of here. Like, my response mentally wasn't like, okay, I've been in the class for how many months? I maybe sponged, like became a sponge, soaked in some of the info. Maybe I can just like fake my way through, get a C, get a B, maybe an A if I'm lucky. I don't think I prepped at all, man. Like for this thing, I didn't even realize that maybe there was going to be a final for this class. Like now that like we're talking about this, there's a possibility that I may not have thought there would have been a final for this course. And keep in mind, I was skating through senior year.
Yeah.
Like I had very few credits that I had to get. And we're going to sidetrack for a second.
No, but
Funny
that's a
enough,
key point though, because that's the high drama here, right? I mean, this really mattered. It's not just because you drop a F or, you get a D or whatever. This actually, from what I remember in the story, am I right? Like this really mattered because the fact that you didn't prepare for this or spaced out or other things were on your mind. If you don't at least pass this test, I'm just being straight up. You may have not gotten enough credits to graduate. Your future changes forever.
I'm looking down that barrel. That's accurate. I mean, so there were a couple credits that I had to get. Like gym, funny enough, I had to take gym as like a summer class. Like I completely forgot to like sign up for a gym class during the year or something. So I took that over the summer. I get in, maybe evaluated my credits like not as much as I probably should have. And what's going through my mind is, okay, if I fail this exam, there is a possibility. I still don't know fully to the day, but like I do believe that I needed to pass
Right.
that course to have enough credits to graduate.
So
And
in
I'm
that
like,
moment, everything is on the line.
it's on the line. The pressure is, this test is coming in hot.
And you're in the
I'm
moment, you have
in the
tunnel
moment.
vision. And it all you're what's funny about these moments, dude? We process these simultaneously in milliseconds. So what we're BIDing here, what we're breaking down is those probably 10 seconds that you were describing.
Right.
When Travis tells you, hey, I'm not joking, there's a final, you see Mrs. L walking around, passing out. You see the number two pencils. Your memory is so clear. It's probably only 0.5 seconds to 3 seconds long, but you live a lifetime of a living hell. And the reality is you have to make a choice.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So I had in that moment, there were two things that were going on in my brain. One, do I stay and just kind of like fake my way through it? Or two, am I going to get the hell out of the classroom? So I saw a window of opportunity. Like Mrs. L had like gone to the other side, and I'm like, there's probably 20 kids in this class. There's a possibility she might not know that I even came here. Maybe I can slip under the
Right.
radar.
Right.
I saw a window. I took it. I grabbed my bag. I grabbed my Gatorade. I headed for the door. I didn't look back. I didn't look left. I didn't look right. I didn't look behind me. I pieced out. I got out of the class. I had to go back into the building. Keep in mind, I'm in a trailer. I don't think we unpacked this in the 7-minute stories episode. I went back to my locker. I had to get some things. At that point,
did you know what you were doing at that point? Did you know what you were doing at that point? Meaning like you knew it was fight or flight, and you left, right? Your tunnel vision, you leave the trailer, you go into the building. But like, I never asked you this before. When you go back to the locker, are you still deciding what's next, or did you already know what was going to happen?
Some of it's a blur, some of it's not. What I can remember is I don't think that I thought it through enough when I headed out the door. I just, between getting out of the trailer and getting back into the building, I'm like, all right, I got to collect some things from my locker. I don't know. My car keys could have very well been in there. I don't know why I specifically went back to the locker, but there was a reason for it, because I could have technically just like went right out of the trailer into the parking lot, because the trailer was situated where we parked. So I went back in, collected what I needed to out of my locker. And at that point I made a decision. I got to get out of here. I'm leaving. Everything stops like when you're in that moment. It's slow motion. Like, I don't know why, but I felt like all eyes were on me. I had felt like I was a criminal, or I was escaping from something, like, and they were coming after me.
You're skipping out of school. Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Like, we had like security in the school.
Yes.
There's teachers everywhere, and
they're always asking, "Hey, what are you doing? You going to?" They're very, yeah. It was a very, it wasn't prison, but yeah, it was pretty monitored.
We might as well have been microchipped, honestly, because like, like that's kind, like
that's the feeling. That's the feeling.
That's the feeling is like, hey, we're gonna put a microchip in you, and we're gonna scan you.
Beep 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 beep. Get back to your class. Beep beep beep.
Anthony is not. He has left class. So
it's funny that you say that.
It's funny you say that, and that leads to the next situation where the lockers were. Unfortunately, it was a huge ass hall between, like a hall, like getting there, like it was lengthy to go from the exit doors to my locker, and then I had to like come back. So I'm in the freaking hallway, and it felt like, I don't know why, but the ceilings just felt taller, the hallways felt wider. It's
I love
almost
this
like
part of the story, man. I love the way you describe this.
Can you imagine everybody watching? Like, I've done competitive racing when I was younger. I absolutely hated it. I hate running. For those of you that do it, not for me. But I can only imagine if like you're at the finish line of a race. To the viewer, it's quick. But when you're the person that's looking left, looking right, and you're trying to inch past someone, it feels like an eternity. It felt like an eternity for me. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to start off walking like at a pace that's not suspect.
There it is.
Because like maybe there's not many people in the hallway. What's he doing? Got my book bag.
Don't bring attention. Don't bring attention to yourself.
Don't bring attention. I didn't have the freaking hall pass thing, like, like these attached to rulers, or like something that you would carry in the hallway, or you would have a hall pass. Again, like we're being monitored or something. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna keep rolling. I see the doors. I'm halfway down the hallway. Here's where things take a turn. There's a PA announcement. Anthony, please report to the principal's office. Anthony, please report to the principal's office. I'm caught. Shit.
Oh.
I've not only did I hear my name go across the PA, what's going through my mind is, so what? I've been caught. Mrs. L must have recognized. probably saw me take off, which looking back, how funny is that?
That's hilarious.
You're preparing an exam for your class. Did you see this kid take off? She could have been following me. I could have been being traced.
The information was relayed. The information was relayed.
There were phones in the classroom, I think. I can't remember, or something.
Yes.
Maybe.
Well, because the trailers, remember, for emergency, like you could call directly to the office.
Yeah, hey, they probably reported me. So and so skipped out.
Now the whole school knows. On the PA, you thought you were being monitored maybe in the hallway. The entire complex now knows you're on the run.
The complex. That's a great way of putting it. Can you imagine when you watch these movies where people escape jail and then like all the spotlights come out?
Right.
Like, so at this point, I'm like, all right, beeline. There's no looking back. There's no more. I'm trying to be like less suspect. I don't care. I take off. I sprint. I'm getting close to the doors. I kind of felt like I imagine somebody waiting there to get me. You know, there was no one there, but I felt in my brain there's going to be someone that's going to like tackle me or like stop me. The doors, I felt like they were sliding to close on me and I had to like slide through to get out. And I was like, oh, I made it, right? Even though that didn't happen. And that was the feeling. I got through the doors. I'm looking around. There's nobody there. I didn't feel like I had made it yet though. I was outside, but there's another hurdle. Yeah. I got to get to my car. Yeah. So I think you're on the run. There was a feeling that overcame me that said, it was like, I'm really doing this. Like at this point, I could have turned around maybe like and tried to make amends, turn myself in, right? It's like pulling a fire alarm. The red paint's on my hands. Everybody knows I did it. By the way, I didn't ever pull a fire alarm for the record. Just a fun analogy.
just to keep things straight. Yeah.
Let's keep things straight. I play by the rules, except for this time.
Except for this one moment.
Except for this one. So I could have went back to the principal's office. Hey, listen, I got egg on my face here. I didn't study for the exam. What can we do?
I tried to escape.
Maybe maybe I can use my sales skills. Like, hey, can we just, let's pretend this didn't happen, right? When I smelled the fresh air of freedom, I went for it. I decided to embrace that. I felt like I'd escaped, which I did. I get to my car. I throw my book bag in the back seat. Gatorade in the back seat.
Yeah, can't forget
Start the car. Look in the mirror. Maybe do one of these. I gotta look good if I'm escaping.
That's right.
If I get caught, maybe my hair is gonna look all right or something. So I get in the car, and again, I'm like, all right. We had, Aaron, I could be wrong. Did we have like little security, like white vehicles? Like were they golf carts? Was there
monitoring
something?
The parking lot. Monitoring the parking lot. Yeah.
It's like Paul Blart, the mall cop, is kind of probably like what was going on in
had
those
a few
situations.
of them going around the parking lot. Yep.
Yeah. It's like, what are they really going to do? You know what I mean? So I think I'm like observing, I'm looking for Mrs. L. I mean, she's probably on a manhunt. I mean, they've called the dogs. I was looking for canine. I was looking for the police. I'm looking for school security. And again, it's funny because when you're in this moment, it's not that big of a deal, but it kind of is. Like,
right. When you're in the moment, it's everything, man. Right.
This is an interesting conversation. Going to school is a free option, right? Like, I don't have to go to school. I could make the conscious choice. I'm at the liberty of what my parents want me to do and what they're going to do as far as policing this decision, which we will talk about that here momentarily. But it's like, why should I really care? I have the choice and freedom to leave this classroom, get in my car, and leave. But in my mind, it's like the world is coming apart.
Right.
Like, I'm done. I literally think like I am screwed at this point. So I get in my car. And the only thing I could think about is just getting past that first traffic light, which, on our main road.
Yeah.
And I'm going towards the developments. I'm going towards my house, 15-minute drive home. I'm sitting at the light again. I'm like thinking, like, I'm looking behind me. Like, did they call the police? Hey, this kid escaped school.
Is the school officer tailing you?
Am I being followed?
I mean, I remember that was the funny when you were like, at that point, like again, take yourself to that moment. If anyone listening, you do run through scenarios where you're at that light and you're thinking about, hey, we have several officers at the school. Have they been informed? And you're looking behind. Are you gonna whoop 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 whoop? Are you gonna see the lights?
I'm looking for lights. Thank you for bringing this up. That's a great point. Is like okay. It starts with Mrs. L. Let's walk through the chain here. Mrs. L notices student go rogue, calls office. Office announces to PA. Somebody probably witnesses me running for the doors. Does principal alert campus police? Our campus police dispatched. Thinking about how is this even happening, right? Why did I?
And why are they pursuing you so hard?
Why am I being?
Let the kid fail. What's wrong?
What is my worst case scenario here, right? So I think like once I realized that there wasn't like a SWAT van behind me and I was able to get through the red light to go green and get home, my drive home, I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, I'm like, this is a self-inflicted wound here. Like, I didn't prep for this exam. This is on me. I think some of the guilt started to feel like sink in a little bit, but I'm also thinking, I'm like, this isn't that big of a deal. Like, I can just take the exam at another date. But when you're faced with a decision in life, like it's that fight or flight mode, like you have to make split second decisions sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And to me, in my mind, as like 18-year-old Anthony, I would rather risk whatever the hell is coming my way for running out of class and not taking the exam. In my mind, I didn't write any of the answers in. How can you grade me if I didn't take the exam? So I was willing to roll the dice.
Right. You're
on the Great Escape.
You're thin slicing a moment and two futures are in front of you. You got to pick a road. You took it.
I took the road. I lived with it. And that's another thing we learn in life. Like the decisions we make, you have to live in it, right? It's for the good or the bad. We all learn. Right. So I finally get home. I pull in the driveway. Keep in mind, it's early.
Yeah.
In the day, I shouldn't be pulling into the house. So I pull in, grab my backpack, grab my backpack, my Gatorade, probably had a fudge round wrapper that was empty, maybe two. I always like to clean my car. You know how I am. You've been in my car.
Bro. Yeah. But you're hungry. Maybe you missed lunch. You skipped out before we had lunch.
Maybe I skipped out. Maybe I threw up my lunch on the way home. I don't know. I get into the house and I'm like, all right, I have another hurdle. The hurdles just keep coming.
Right.
Like, why are we doing this? Why are we in this situation? I get into the door and I'm thinking, I know my mom's home, my dad's at work, my brother is being a good student and is still in class.
Right.
I'm not. So I'm like, there's a possibility that my mom may know about this. She may not know about this. Right. I'm like one of those assume the sale. Like, I'm not going to bring attention to this. I'm not going to stoke the fire. I'm going to see if I can slide in under the radar, kick off my Doc Martens, get in the house, maybe hope that my mom's like watching something on TV, maybe out on the deck. I can just quickly like scoot in, get upstairs, kind of recalibrate after this whole entire mess, right? And it's funny, we're listening to this episode. I mean, this whole thing was like maybe an hour, not even 30 minutes, 45 minutes, because the drive home is not long. The Great Escape, probably 5 minutes, right? That seemed like an eternity. But I get home and my mom's in the kitchen and I don't know if we can see this, but like, she's like this,
Oh, you got the, yeah, that's it.
I got the arms.
It's over.
It's over, man.
It's over, bro.
What?
She knows.
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
Something's going on.
Could they have gotten to her?
I thought that I had all of the kinks in the hose figured out, ironed out. There was one that I was missing. It was like, man, they went to the extent they're going to call my mom. What is this?
Did she know?
Well, I was like, hey, mom, what's going on? Again, don't bring attention to it if you don't have to. Maybe it's something else, right? Wow, I looked really intense there for a second. That's funny. She's like, hey, your teacher just called you.
Oh my God.
It was the teacher. Man, she's coming after me. She's coming in hot, Aaron, like we like to say. I mean, what the hell is the big deal? Why are we making this into a thing? I left class.
There's 29 other students, by the way, who have 29 other futures and lives to live. She's zeroed in on this moment. She's not letting you go.
It I can, basically I feel like she was like Maverick in the F-14 locked in like a missile, like the missile radar. Like you can try to dodge it, but they're going to get to you.
She's got
You can't outrun Maverick. Can't outrun Top Gun.
Yeah, it's zeroed in on you.
It was honed in on me, man, and she fired the missile. So so my mom's like, "Hey, your teacher called," and I'm like, "Oh wow, what did she say?" Like I'm playing dumb,
Right.
Well, she said that you skipped out class. I'm like, she did? Oh yeah. She's like, you can't hide from this. She said that you left class, and we want to know why you left. And I'm like, okay, here's why. I didn't study for the exam. I didn't know there was an exam. I had to make a decision. Why would I choose to take the exam if there's a good chance I wasn't going to pass it? If I choose to leave, maybe I can sweet talk my way into taking this at a later date, properly studying, pass the exam, no harm, no foul. Well, that's when I learned of this new information. Well, Mrs. L said she's going to think on this, and she may choose to not let you take the exam.
Oh, here we go.
Which would be an automatic fail.
Yeah. How's
So
that
I'm
choice
like,
looking now to you? I mean, at that moment, you're probably thinking, did I make the wrong choice?
yeah, it's tough because I'm like, man, I really, really effed up here. Like I care, like, and like, let's have a real truth moment here, like as well, when it comes to like the seriousness of some situations like this. I took school seriously, but I kind of like skated through school a lot. I could have taken it more serious. And I think in that moment, it kind of hit me that like, okay, maybe I should have been operating a little bit differently and more focused on taking these things seriously. And if I could go back and do it again, I didn't get terrible grades in school or anything. It's just, I wish sometimes I would have maybe applied myself a little bit more. But you live and you learn, right? So this was one of my first real adult situations that I had to encounter as an 18-year-old of like, hey, the decisions that you make have ramifications.
Real consequences. You're absolutely right.
Real consequences.
Yeah.
My parents did a phenomenal job of raising me, and so did yours. Like we grew up, we worked jobs, we had responsibilities, we were held accountable, like we had goals and expectations, but like there was also that lackluster, glamorous aspect of like being a kid that you're like, hey, the real world hasn't hit me yet.
Right.
Because, maybe in the summer I'm lifeguarding or we're doing some fun summer job. Like money's not anything we really need to worry about. Like, I was thinking about college at the time, but I wasn't thinking about it so much because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. But it's like when you make a decision like this, there is consequences. And I was starting to, for the first time, to be like, shit, this is real now. So, you can imagine anybody watching this, Aaron, like, okay, so I'm going to be losing sleep now until I can figure out what her decision is going to be.
Right.
Is she going to let me take this exam? Is she not going to let me take it? So I had to, I think I was up all night, probably just like stressed, and I went in and I remember just having a straight up honest conversation with her and telling her, look, I made a poor decision. This is why I made the choice I made. I was disrespectful to you and I apologize for that. Like I owned it. I didn't try to go in again and lie or make excuses.
Right.
I really
you couldn't run anymore.
Look.
You've ran. Listen, you ran and you ran. At some point, you stopped, you turned around, you faced the music. You couldn't run anymore.
I couldn't run anymore.
But the cool, and like you said, you owned up to it. That's the thing, is like there's those moments we have where it's like, you're like, hey, I know I ran. I know I made a mistake. I owned up to it. It's on me 100%. That's good. But it's hilarious to think like you got to a point you can't, you're like, I'm not going to run anymore.
Maybe I need, maybe I could, maybe I could change my identity. I could go into the witness protection program.
Mustache.
Show up to class the next day. Hello, my name is so and so. I'm here to take the final exam.
What happened to Anthony?
I don't know who he is. You look a lot like him, except you have a mustache. Don't know what you're talking about.
So how does she react when you do this?
She was not happy. I mean,
Yeah.
she was clearly upset and frustrated and concerned, I think, for my my decision making. And the good news here is she decided to let me take the exam, and I passed the exam and I graduated. So
that's the good news. And really, when I think about this, to pull it like full circle, you, whatever choice you made, it was a choice that you made, but luckily, like, you got this opportunity, because who knows,
right,
I don't think it would have been bad, but like, who knows what your life would have been like if you, maybe you didn't get that credit, maybe you didn't
right,
graduate, and then like a year delayed being in school. If you think about that, when we think about life choices, and I know we have fun, we tell stories, it's hilarious, we laugh about it, we over dramatize because it's real, but
right.
it's just, that's how we break it down. But there is a real consequence to like everything you do, and your life could have been different. Don't know if it's better, worse, whatever, but you're here now. Really, if you think and you break it down, no pun intended, that moment was critical for really the trajectory of your life. But I wanted to say, and I think this is coming, there is a good ending in the sense that you did, but the reality is that from what I remember from you telling me the story, it's never really left you. There's actually a darker side to this. And there's actually a
Yeah,
couple layers I'd love you to get into here before we end, which is,
yeah,
one, something has stuck with you. And also, you've had some interesting interactions.
right. Yeah,
You want to dive into that real quick? Take
yeah,
us full
absolutely.
circle?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Ever since that situation occurred, I've had dreams that I'm reliving that moment, right? Where you wake up in a cold sweat and you're like, I'm not graduating high school. Oh my gosh. And then you realize it was a dream, but then you also realize like, crap, I went through that experience. Like I felt what that would be like if that was actually the end result where you didn't graduate. That would suck. It would just be I don't know. It's
These were
weird.
serious dreams too, right? You're not joking. Like,
Yeah.
you like woke up in cold sweats, and
Yeah. I don't know why it stuck with me.
I'm
I
not
don't
laughing
get
at
it.
you. I just think
No,
it's
it's
like,
it's 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 funny because it's clearly planting in my mind, and I'm trying to find ways to just be like, all right, this doesn't affect me, didn't affect me. Well, maybe at the time, but I've moved past it. Like, why is it coming in? It
it's like
clearly was
20
a big
years, like
deal to
20
me.
years ago, bro.
It clearly was a big deal,
Yeah.
like stress or maybe like a little pocket of anxiety.
Mm.
But like I worked past that and made amends with it. But it is interesting that the dream would come through. And it's sometimes it's not even just like that situation, but there's like weird panicked situations in high school that reoccur in my dreams.
Mm.
This is by the way, this is 100% accurate. Everything we talk about is spot on and
Yeah.
accurate. But what's interesting in the timing here is I had a dream a couple nights ago that I couldn't get my locker unlocked. I couldn't remember the little spinny code on the
Right.
actual
The
like
thing.
lock.
Yeah.
Yeah. That happens. Like sometimes there's these weird, I'm in weird situations that I can't escape in high school. And I feel like that stemmed from like that situation maybe continues to cause some of these. And not only that, I have recently in the past year crossed paths with Mrs. L. And I think that she knew it was me, but I don't think that she knew it was me.
Well, because both of us boomerang back to our hometown. We went out on a journey. We went to different cities. We came back to our hometown.
Yes.
And what's hilarious, I remember when you told me, again, we're talking almost 20 years later.
Right.
You're like, I'm in the grocery store. I look over.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
there.
I'll walk you through that.
Yeah.
I literally in our favorite local grocery store here, um, just another day at the store, walking through the produce aisle, I on my right, I got the fruits, maybe some deli meats. On the left, I have my vegetables, and I got my little cart. I'm just going along my way. I see like Mrs. L. Like I think my memory is photographic, and I think yours is as well. Like I remember almost everything,
Right.
and I would even if she did have a mask or didn't have a mask on. I don't think that she did in this case because
Because
we're in
during
the
COVID,
pandemic.
yeah,
We're
pandemic,
during
yeah.
COVID. I had my mask on. Like even if she had it on, I would still be able to be
You
like,
know her.
yeah,
You
that's
know her in
Mrs.
a
L,
second. Yeah.
100%.
Yes.
I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Mrs. L. And we walked past each other again. It kind of took me back to that moment of when I was
Yeah.
escaping, where it felt like an eternity. It felt like an eternity to get to her, and like we walk past each other, and there's that eye contact where both of us make eye contact, and we just keep going.
Because
So
you didn't say anything.
I imagine what's going through her mind is there's that kid that escaped my classroom, and what's going through my mind is here's this situation. And it continues to pop into my brain 20 plus years later. We walk past each other, we never look back. I've seen her at least 3 times in the past year and a half,
That's
and
crazy, bro.
my fiance and I were out. I don't think you know this. We were out recently.
Oh, there's a
We
new
saw
one.
her. We saw her. I remember looking to her and saying, "Hey," not Mrs. L, but my
Yeah.
fiance Vanessa, and I'm like, "That is the lady from The Great Escape." And she knew exactly what I was talking about. I'm
There,
like, it's a small town. I am not going to sit here and say that there's a reason I'm running into her and like maybe I need to get some closure. Maybe I need to have dialogue with Mrs. L to get this off my
we've even
chest.
teased that possibility on 7 Minute Stories when we did.
We've teased the
We have,
possibility.
it's a possibility, but we still
We're not,
haven't
it's not off the
decided.
table.
It's not off the table. Anthony, first of all, this is one of the, I love this story. And dude, like, I waited all week to record this. I'm so glad that we did record it. Let me just say this, if I could put, and I'll give you the last line, but I have to say, if I had a last line, a dramatic last line to this, you mentioned these dreams that have been following you for 20 years. And now these random run-ins with this lady who 20 years ago sparked, and your decision sparked one of the greatest escapes I've probably ever heard of. And I bet you walk around sometimes in life and you have a successful life. We've been very blessed. You work really hard. You have a wonderful relationship, as do I. We are really, really lucky. And I'm sure you kind of audit that sometimes and you say to yourself, like, man, I'm so lucky. I'm really glad I did escape that moment. Here's the reality. I'm not sure if you ever really did.
I,
Maybe it's because it's close to Halloween, bro. You never really did.
we will not edit this in post. And I will say this. I can't top that last line. So
Bro, thank you for today. All right, I'll talk to you.